allegiance by Councilmember Sherry Moore.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, Statesboro. I'm reminded that our invocation is to invoke whatever we hold holy or whatever is our guiding principle. And I'm really glad the city of Statesboro begins our business meetings by stopping to do that, to invoke whatever is holy. I'm also really pleased that here in Statesboro, although many of us are Christian, not all of us are. There are people here who practice a lot of different religions and a lot of different spiritual paths. And there are people who are good, moral people who are not religious. So I'm glad that we're at this point in our history where we can appreciate and celebrate that diversity. I ask you to allow me to pray for us now. Gracious God, we do invoke your presence by whatever name we know thee. Dealt with, despite sadness and loss, we remember there are always things to be grateful for. And part of what we're grateful for is living in a community where we can look around to neighbors, friends, and families for support and help. We ask that you draw nigh, that you guide us and help us as we deliberate and try to come to good decisions to benefit all of the people in Statesboro. May it be so. Amen. Amen. And blessed be. Let's pray.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We move down to agenda item 3, public comments. Leah, any public comments?
No, Mayor.
All right, thank you. We'll move down to agenda item 4, consideration of a motion to approve the consent agenda, the approval of the minutes from our September the 7th council meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Councilman Boyd did not join us?
Yeah.
We'll move down to agenda item 5, consideration of a motion to accept a high bid from GT Distributors of Georgia for a block of firearms to be sold as surplus. Mr. King.
Mayor, members of the council, from time to time, we have firearms that some we've confiscated that we need to dispose of, and we have an offer to purchase these firearms, and that is what is before you. We ask for your authorization to be able to dispose of these firearms as outlined, as surplus property, as outlined by Chief in the recommended to you.
Thank you. Any discussion by council? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, let us show that the agenda item 5 is passed. We'll move down to agenda item 6, consideration of a motion to approve resolution 2021-34, a resolution approving the city of Statesboro proposed FY 2022 street surfacing program and authorizing the mayor to execute the GDOT local maintenance improvement grant application. Grant matching funds will be provided from the 2018 T-Splosh. Mr. King.
Mayor and members of the council, annually we go through this process where we are submitting to GDOT to receive funds in the amount of about $325,000. We then match that with about $775,000 of T-Splosh funds. And so included in your packet, we actually outline the streets that will be included that will be submitted to GDOT. And what we try to always do is also make sure that we balance those streets per district. And so we recommend that you authorize us to submit this information and authorize the mayor to sign the document on the city's behalf so that we can submit it to GDOT so we can get the funding needed for resurfacing. Recommended to you.
Thank you, Mr. King. Any discussion by council? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, let us show that agenda item 6 is passed. We move down to agenda item 7, consideration of a motion to approve resolution 2021-35, a resolution approving application to the Economic Development Administration for a grant for the Creek on the Blue Mile project. Mr. Penny, if you would give us some insight.
Mayor, members of the council, we have an opportunity to submit to the EDA a grant application in the amount of about $6.5 million for the Creek on the Blue Mile project. We discussed it earlier in the work session, and anytime we can find some additional grant funds that would help cover the cost for the project that we believe will be in the neighborhood of about $28 million, we're going to do that. We submitted to the governor's ARPA funds for about $6.5 million. So this is an additional $6.5 million that we're recommending that you authorize us to be allowed to submit to EDA for these funds. We recommend it to you for your approval.
Thank you, Mr. Penny. Any discussion by council? All right, seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We'll move down to agenda item 8, consideration of a motion to approve a memorandum of understanding with a qualified 501c3 charitable organization to administer raffle draws for awarding the prizes provided through the City of Statesboro COVID-19 vaccination incentive program. Mr. Payne, if you give us some insight.
Mayor, members of the council, I guess it's been about 6 weeks ago that we outlined to you a number of incentives that we were proposing to you to try to get people vaccinated. And then what happened after further research, we discovered that the city couldn't actually do drawings. We need to work through a 501c3. And I'm pleased to say that we have, thanks to Kane, been working with the 501c3 that would be willing to administer that. But before we do that, I want to share with you my thoughts about the process. So far, what you've authorized us to do is to provide the gift cards. First time we did it, we gave out 68 gift cards. So on last Saturday, we hosted a vaccination clinic with the Department of Public Health, Kiwanis, Squash the Spread, NAACP, all partners in that project. We vaccinated 87 people. We went to that event with 300 gift cards. So we only used 87 of those. So out of those 2 events, we vaccinated 155 people, and we're happy about that. We do have plans to vaccinate in this building on the 28th from 8:30 to about 1 o'clock. Anyone that will come to City Hall for vaccination, we would use those gift cards again. We have gotten approval from Department of Public Health to do vaccinations on October 9th and October the 23rd. October 9th will be again at Louetta Moore. October the 23rd, which is a Saturday, we'll have to be here at City Hall. And so based on the experience that we've had, the incentives really haven't moved a lot. And I was on a call with GMA today, and that seems to be the indication across the state that incentives are getting people vaccinated, but not at the rate that we'd like to see. Today I checked our vaccination rate in Bullitt County. The rate in Bullitt County is the same rate it was a month ago. We have 26.75% people vaccinated today, and that's the same number we had a month ago. So based on that, I would recommend the council, you continue to authorize us to give the gift cards, because it is moving some folks, but unless we get a minimum of 1,000 people vaccinated in this effort, I think it'd be, I'll do whatever you tell me to as your city manager. But to expend those greater number of funds for monetary gifts or even for computers and things of that nature, right now we probably had 15 or 20 young people that fell between that category of 12 to 17. And we would have spent $3,000 for those prizes that I was talking about for the number of people that would have been in that drawing. The pool just isn't large enough. And so I would just recommend that we move forward with continued with the gift cards. And if we see we have enough meetings between now and October 23rd or whenever that date is, if the council wants to move with a nonprofit to do some of those drawings, but right now, it's hard on me to recommend that we move forward with those because we just aren't moving people at the rate I'd like to see them. I'd love to give 300 gift cards away, and that was the hope on Saturday. We gave 87, but we're happy about those 87. On September 28th, I'd like to give the balance of those gift cards away. But I'm just not seeing it at this point. And so I just wanted to share this insight with you. But again, I'll do whatever you tell me to, but I'd recommend that we just do gift cards at this point. So with that, if you will accept that recommendation, we wouldn't need the approval of a relationship with a nonprofit. We can still come back at a future date if we feel like we're in a position that we want to give those additional incentives. And that's what I would recommend to you, Mayor and Council.
All right, any discussion by council?
I'm good with that.
It sounded pretty good to me too. I'd like a little bit more information. You said we had maybe 15 or 20 young people. I'm sorry, how many young people, how many teenagers?
Now I would, Demetrius, and I want to thank Demetrius Bynes because Demetrius, he's our vaccination clinic person. I think he told me that there were between 15 and 20. That's right.
Okay. And do we know the breakdown about geography?
No. You mean geography, where folks are coming?
Yeah.
Now, when we talked about the gift cards the first time, we weren't asking if they were city residents or if they were out of Bullock County. Whoever came, we were giving gift cards. And did we have anybody outside the county?
We don't collect that data.
Gotcha. So we're not asking. We're just getting the information. But I do know that first time we had some people that came from outside the county. There were probably a couple that came in and saw the news and heard that we were giving $50 gift cards, and so they came. We're just trying to get them vaccinated.
Yeah.
Now, if you want us to say only city residents, and that's the discussion that we had, and so the direction I got from y'all was we're giving gift cards to whomever comes through the door, and that's what we were doing. But when we were talking about the larger gifts, I think that's when we said, no, that would only be for city residents. But the gift card would be for whomever comes.
So what's planned right now is Wednesday the 28th, it's just like a week out, next Wednesday.
Right.
From 8:30 to 1 at Louetta Moore.
That'd be here. That's
That'd be
here,
back
city
here
hall.
at
That's the
6,
city
okay.
hall.
But it would be all 3 vaccines available again.
Well, and I'm gonna say, I know it's gonna be 2. Johnson & Johnson, they were at the end of their supply with Johnson & Johnson. In fact, the day was the last day their supply that they could give that vaccination. They asked for more Johnson & Johnson. So right now, what they said to me was, don't promote that we're gonna have 3 because we know we'll have Moderna, we know we'll have Pfizer. So we can do young folks if they come up here. But right now, we don't know that they're gonna have Johnson & Johnson on that day, but they'll have Moderna and Pfizer.
And then the 2 Saturdays in October, we're talking 8:30 till 12:30, Louetta Moore on the 9th, and here at City Hall on
the
Saturday the
23rd.
23rd.
Yes,
But again, having the Moderna, so that the Pfizer, so that the young people can get
yes,
it. All 3 of these.
yes.
Thank you for that information.
Okay. Thank you, Demetrius.
All right, so is there a motion for no action on this item?
I'm sorry, is that what you were suggesting, or did we go ahead and authorize you to have it in
And
place
I
in
would-
case we wanted it?
I was suggesting that we just take no action on that item. And we have enough time. We're gonna have a council meeting on October 5th. We have another council meeting on October the 14th and 19th. If we needed that, take action, and we'll just put the nonprofit on hold, but I would just hold it at this point.
Okay. So what you're looking for is kind of a vote of confidence to continue with the gift cards
Right.
and these 3 upcoming
Right.
dates.
And I'm not asking you to authorize any additional gift cards, because I want to be clear. We don't want to get stuck at the end holding a bunch of gift cards, because once we buy the gift cards, we can't give them back. So right now, we have 213 gift cards. We'll use those 213 gift cards until we get down. And then when we come back to you on the 5th of October, if we need some more gift cards, we'll ask for authorization at that point. So to this point, you've purchased 368 gift cards, and we've given away 155 of those gift cards. And so if y'all are okay, we'll just proceed along the way we're going. And if the health department or someone else is having an event, and because we can't send, we have to maintain custody of the gift cards. So, and if staff is available, that we can go to an event and give out gift cards, we're willing to do that to support vaccinations in Statesboro. We had a request today for a community event mid-October, and we said, yeah, if we got gift cards, we'll be willing to come and even if we don't have gift cards, we're willing to go and support that community event.
All right, so is there a motion for a vote of no action?
Should we vote for no action?
Or just
Or
let
just do
it
no
go?
action, just do no action?
It's fine just to do a motion, no action taken on that item.
All right.
Probably be preferable.
Vote of no action.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That way we cover our behinds, right?
So they do. Right.
Yeah, all right. Thank you guys so much, and to the staff, we really appreciate that. You know, to get 155 shots in arms, that's good. I will say this, you know, a couple of meetings ago, we made the statement that this Delta variant is very serious. It is very much so different than that first variant that we dealt with 18 months ago. And we're seeing a tremendous death rate increase. And as of today, we entered the month of August with 122 deaths. And since then, we are in and around 40 deaths. And that is a huge number. You know, I know we said it once, we said it twice. I know we've got COVID fatigue, but COVID is not getting tired. COVID is still very serious. If you have not gotten the shot, get the shot. It is safe. There's a lot of myths, rumors, and lies in relation to the vaccination. Get the vaccination. It's saving lives. 95% of the people in our hospitals are unvaccinated. 95%. And we're seeing a tremendous death toll from this. We want to stand with Brooklyn. Brooklyn just lost a police officer, a young female, to COVID-19. Riceboro's mayor just died this morning from COVID-19. We've lost a firefighter from COVID-19. COVID-19 is not playing. So please, please, please stay off of these fake social media pages spreading lies. Do what's best for you and your family and get the shot. We've been taking vaccinations all of our life. All of our life. In order to go to any public school, you've had to get a vaccination shot. We had no idea what was in those shots. Now all of a sudden, we want to know. We don't know what's in our Twinkies, but we need them. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, get the shot. save your life, save the lives of others. I've lost a friend whose child came home with COVID-19, and now he's passed away. And I don't know how many warnings we can keep giving about this. And in this space, we are in this space by choice. 18 months ago, we did not have a choice. Today, we have a choice. We have a vaccination. We have a way out. And so we must do what it takes in order for us to protect ourselves, our families, and our communities. With that being said, we'll move on to agenda item 9, consideration of a motion to approve a contract with DPR Architects in the not to exceed amount of $73,050 for architectural design services for renovations to City Hall and Joe Brandon Hall. Mr. Penny.
Mayor, members of the council, we are recommending to you the approval of this contract for architectural services. A couple of things. We came to you sometime this year, or maybe last year, time to run together on, to talk about relocating our employee clinic to Joe Brandon Hall. And with that, we need to make sure that that space is laid out in a manner that it would be adequate for a clinic. But when we also do that, we are considering relocating our HR staff to that space as well, so that right now where they're located, we need them where the public can get to them in a much more easier space. So we need an architect to help make sure the space is laid out appropriately. And then at City Hall, Ms. Barr asked me this question, because we really haven't talked about it. Our space here is not very well laid out for, and I don't want to say we are growing. We haven't asked for a lot of folks, but like now have a public information officer. You authorize us to have an assistant to the city manager, which we have not filled. We do have an assistant city manager, but the way our space is laid out is not very efficient. Our assistant city manager is not even on this floor. So he's in his old space, so when I need him, I have to find him. and he's easy to find, but we'd like for it to be a little bit more efficient. Where Lane sits, she sits in a space that when if she's working on something, I have to walk through her space. If she's in a conference, so it's just not laid out in a good, and we're making do. We need the conference room area to be a little bit larger, so that y'all could actually use that if you needed to have a conference, and the space is well ventilated. And so what we would like to do is to have an architect to actually be able to lay out the space, get it planned appropriately, and then we will come back to you in a work session and show you what is being proposed. But we do recommend that you authorize this contract with DPR Architectural for services in order to be able to adequately plan it. Then they'd be able to draw construction plans, and then at a point before we bid it out, we would come back to you when we have a concept, even before he draws it. And I say that, Jason. Even before he does construction drawings, we want to show you what is being proposed, so y'all would have a chance to have some input in that process. So we do recommend this to you. We do have money in the CIP budget, 2019 SPLOS funds, to help cover the cost of the renovations that need to occur. And so and as I told Ms. Barr, we actually were looking at this last year, but when the pandemic hit, we put all of that aside to just deal with just surviving during the pandemic. We do recommend it to you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Penny. Any discussion by council? All right, seeing that there's none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we move down to agenda item 10, which is consideration of a motion to award a contract to Ralph Tillis Incorporated in the amount of $36,050 to perform a water and sewer cost of service study and development of financial plan for the water and sewer fund. Mr. Penny, if you can give us some insight, please.
Mayor and members of the council, as we talked during the work session, the purpose of this study is to look at the cost of services. What does it cost for us to produce a gallon of water? What does it cost to treat a gallon of sewage? And so that when we are looking at industrial clients or whomever, we know what it costs us to provide that service to them, so that when folks say we want you to cut your price in half, and we know that we're going to lose money, I can look you in the face and say we can't do that because we've been doing a disservice to our citizens and to our community. And so this is something that has not been done in a while, to look at what it costs since about 2016, at what it costs to provide those services. But I do want to be clear, especially since we're on Facebook Live, this is not being done with the intention of trying to raise our water and sewer rates. We just want to make sure our rates are aligned properly. But in no way are we doing this so that we can raise rates. But we need to know what it costs us to provide these services. So we do recommend that you approve this contract with Raftellus in the amount of $36,050.
Thank you. Any discussion by council?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, when you were here, so you know, at work council, we talked at the work session, we talked briefly about the fact that this is likely to include a review of green practices. I'm really pleased that the city of Statesboro works with the Georgia Southern and sells our great water and good things like that going on. So I'm really glad to hear that this analysis will include looking at those kinds of things and be sure we're making the money that we should, and also charging a fair price and any other opportunities for those kinds of sustainable, green, environmentally healthy practices.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing that there's none, is there a motion to approve? So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, let us show that agenda item 10 is passed. We move down to agenda item 11. Consideration of a motion to award a contract to McClendon Enterprise in the amount of $1,887,083.39 for the installation of water mains, sewer mains, and lift stations to serve the area adjacent to Optimal Orthopedics. Mr. Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor. That's a lot of money. But this is a good project. The tough part about this project, as we talked about, just the timing that we're in, we're at a period where we're seeing higher costs for projects, and based on the background information, the actual bid was over $2 million. And staff was able to work with the contractor to be able to get it to the $1.8 million project. This project is designed to provide infrastructure going down 67, in particular the Optum Health, and eventually they would, actually when y'all approved the initial concept, they agreed to be annexed into the city at such time that we can get those services down to them. And so they are actually going to participate in the cost of about $350,000 in this. So we're actually be responsible for 1.5, and they'll be responsible for the $350,000. We do recommend the award of this contract to McClendon Services contract.
Thank you. All right, any discussion by council? Seeing that there's none, is there a motion to approve? So moved. All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll move down to agenda item 12, other business from city council. Any other business from council? All right,
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, I neglected last month, just I wanted to comment that I thoroughly appreciate you and John and Phil who are willing to serve the people of Statesboro again, and have all qualified and offered for election, fully supportive. Also, I wanted to just acknowledge that we have two other people who are willing to serve the city of Statesboro and have paid their qualifying fees. And just to say, it takes people being willing to serve. So thank you, folks who are willing to consider and step up and and consider serving in this way. Thank all three of you and the other two.
Okay. Thank you, that's very kind of you, Councilwoman Bowman. Is there any other business from City Council? All right, seeing that there is none, we've been tasked with making appointments to the land bank. That was a responsibility that fell on me, and so we would like to go ahead and make those appointments today. The first appointment that we would like to make is Mr. Lois Grooms-Dickey. She would serve as the first member for us, and then our second member will be Mr. Michael Summers. That would be the second person that we would recommend for that. Okay, we'll move down to agenda item 13, which is city manager's comments.
Mayor, I have a couple items for you. First off, in your FYI packet, we are planning for a ribbon cutting at the Reverend W.B. Kent Park, Grady Street Park on Friday at 4:00 p.m. Again, this is a more muted celebration because of COVID, but I would just say, and because I don't know about Reverend Kent's family, at some time in the future, we will plan to come and have a celebration so that their family members, so that they can be appropriately recognized, just like what we did with Louetta Moore. But because of COVID, we just think we need to just hold it at this point. But the other thing is we want people to go ahead and start using the basketball courts and the picnic shelters. The playground is completed. They're getting most of the sod is in place. It'll all be in place by Friday. I think there was just a little bit that wasn't done. There's one challenge that we have. And you know, the one thing that we stress through this whole thing is the use of technology. But when you're dealing with the railroad, that's always a challenge. And so there are no overhead lines leading there, so we have to do a boring under the railroad, and that is the one glitch that we have. We're looking at, we could possibly do something wireless, and it may cost us. I really don't want that park to open without the video stuff being in place. But we're at a point that we're ready to open that park.
Okay.
If council is okay. And so we ask y'all to all save that date so we can go ahead and open it on Friday.
Okay, this Friday, 4 p.m.
Yes.
So help me understand, the difficulty, the glitch that we have about getting power there is for the video surveillance or all the electric or what?
That is it's the cable that needs to go for the video, the
Surveillance.
fiber optic that they need to get for that to operate.
But everything else down there is
Everything else is okay, the power and all that, that's all there. But where Bullet Solutions has to come down Grady Street, and they have to come under that rail. And it's just a nightmare. I mean, it could be a nightmare.
And to remind me, didn't we try to get Wi-Fi in there and at Louetta Moore? Do we have city sponsored and that is there? Or is that part of it?
That's all a part of that, that Wi-Fi and getting under there. But we can do something, we have a solution. It's a little costly, but we can have it there. But we need to get that boring done underneath that train track so that we can use the less costly approach to make it happen. But we can have it, it's just gonna cost us a little bit to have it until we get that boring done.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
Next item, I want to mention to you, when we talk about incentives, I sent y'all a memo about incentives for employees. And so I just want to share with you, and the council, and always careful about not trying to create, we've seen communities do a number of things, and I think when we first started talking about incentives, told you that Macon County had utilized about $800,000 out of their ARPA funds to offer to their employees $500 incentive to get the vaccination. And I didn't propose that. And then today on the call with GMA, they were asking about what other communities were doing in order to get their employees to get vaccinated. Brunswick County offering $500 to get their employees vaccinated. Jonesville was offering $500 to get their employees vaccinated. Milledgeville offered $1,000 to get their employees vaccinated. Milledgeville also said, you know, if you don't want the $1,000 bonus, we'll pay your insurance premium for the rest of the year. We're not ready to do anything like that. So what I propose to you, in order to, right now we have, and I can't say, we may have more people vaccinated than I know about. But what we did, we offered a day of vacation for employees. And we received 91 vaccination cards from our employees out of 310 employees. So it's not a bad number. But we really need all of our employees to be vaccinated. So, Mayor and Council, what I proposed to you was to offer $250 for each city employee that is vaccinated, that gets vaccinated. However, I also recommended that if 85% of our employees got vaccinated, that $250 would become $500. We would give our employees time to get it done. We would distribute this to them when they normally would receive their Christmas bonus. And I put this before you to see if you can support that recommendation. It may not move them. It may not move them. Some people are so dug in about not wanting the vaccination, but I can tell you this. We've spent $175,000 in lost man hours, people hours, because of COVID. We buried people. And we can use ARPA funds to help get our folks vaccinated if this will move them. And so I wanted to bring that to you this evening to see if Ms. Barr did have a suggestion. She had, so I'll let Ms. Barr speak for herself. She asked me if I could reduce the percentage, and I'm willing to reduce the percentage to 2/3 of our employees. I think you said it'd be 112 more employees, but I really want 100% of our employees to be vaccinated because it's just what we need to do in order to provide services, because our employees did not get days off because of COVID. They worked throughout the pandemic and still are working.
I'd love to hear what other council members think about the proposal and helping to incentivize city employees getting vaccinated.
I have a question, Mr. Penny.
Yes.
So if they are already vaccinated, would they still get the $250?
They would. That would count.
Okay.
That counts. But what we're trying to do is get the rest of those employees on board, and if we can get that percentage up, then everybody would have a chance at a total of $500.
Am I considered an employee?
No, I'm sorry.
We are employees, we're not members.
Say I am an employee and I'm not vaccinated. Who's gonna find it, and I do get vaccinated, who's gonna know that I'm vaccinated?
You would only give that to the HR department, and that's all you do.
And that's it, unless I decide to tell somebody else.
Unless you decide to tell somebody else, you give a card to HR.
And that's it.
And that's how I can tell you that 91 people have turned in their
All
cards
you
so
would
far.
be able to do is ask him how many, and he would.
Yeah, I don't know who's done it,
Gotcha.
but, and I would just simply say, this is a care. Okay?
Gotcha.
This is a care.
But what I'm looking to keep people from doing is shaming people.
No.
I don't want anybody to be from somebody sitting next to somebody, well, you should just quit. If you don't want to get vaccinated, you should just quit. And then them say, well, if you're a sheep, why don't you just quit? You know, you just doing whatever, I don't want that to happen. Anything we can do to keep that from being that way.
It's a personal decision.
Yes, it is.
And we are, this is the extreme for me, because I'm an old school manager and just like when Ms. Barr is the reason she pushed us on the incentives, because I probably come from that side where like, why should we have to incentivize people to take care of themselves? But I think it's a good thing to do. And I guess I'm in the same place that with our employees. It's good for them, it's good for our city because people still depend upon our services every day. And you know, good employees are just hard to find.
Well, I like it, but I'm cautious about dropping it to 2/3. And the reason being is because that's still about 34% of the people that's still unvaccinated. And that still can have an impact on us as far as employee work hours and that financial impact. You know, I think 85 is a number that can be negotiated, but I would like to see, if we're going to do it, I would like to see that 80%, at least 80% of the people that's employed by the city of Statesboro. And the reason why I'm saying that is because the city, we don't get to shut down. Our fire department doesn't close, our police department doesn't close. We got to keep, you know, we got to pick the trash up, the limbs, you know, all of those kind of things, provide water to the people. We don't get to close. So we're constantly open. And heaven forbid that another variant comes out that's worse than the Delta variant and has a more severe impact on our operation. So I personally, you know, 85, I think we can reel it back to 80%. And if we're able to hit that 80% goal, then, you know, they get the other side of the initiative, the other side of the incentives. That's what my thought process is.
Oh,
I'm kind of still pondering because I'm stuck in between the two. I do think it's a great idea to give out. Can you hear me? I'm sorry. I do think it's a great idea to give out the incentives. I'm just stuck on the percentage portion of it. So if 85% of the individuals or employees get vaccinated, that 80% will receive an additional $500.
They would receive a total, they would get $250. And then if we reach 80 or 85%, then they would get an additional $250 for a total of $500.
So I was thinking they were going to get $750.
Now, we can do that, but
No.
that's not what I recommend.
No. I'm in agreement with the vaccinations and the incentives, so.
so my understanding is our employees all get a holiday bonus of $100. That's
Yes.
what's in the budget now.
Yes.
So what we're talking about is increasing the holiday bonus from 100 to 350 is what you're saying. If you can do it 250, you're increasing the holiday bonus to 350 for everyone who's vaccinated. But then the extra carrot would be, not that people are shaming coworkers, but that folks are encouraging, hey, I got my vaccination and I hope more people will, because if more people do, then we all get that extra however much we save right now. I mean, that's part of the plan, right?
Right.
So instead of a $100 holiday bonus, we're talking $350 holiday bonus for everybody vaccinated by December the 15th or 20th or whatever we, Demetria says they needed enough lead time.
Right, but we need to cut it off by November 15th.
November 15th?
Yes.
Okay, so that's pretty quick. Next 6 weeks.
We need to cut it off because we do the holiday bonus that Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
And
Holiday shopping.
so that's when we like to distribute that to our employees.
I like it, and it feels very generous, because anybody who works for the city who's not yet vaccinated can go to one of these clinics and get $50. And then they're still gonna get another $250.
Or maybe 500.
And then if they encourage enough people, then we're talking about bumping it up to 500. So it's a $600 bonus plus their $50 gift cards. But if it gets a bunch of people vaccinated, it's money well spent. It saves the city money and it makes us all healthier.
And it also minimizes the impact on our insurance program.
Very true. Okay, so I will move that we accept our manager's proposal, that we offer employees the incentive of a $250 additional holiday bonus if they're vaccinated by November 15th. So what do we want to put in there about the percentage? I said 2/3, but you're saying more 75%, 80%?
80%.
I'll go 80.
210 people at 80%?
310.
That's 248 people, and now we got 91, so that's
It's only 150 some people.
150 more people. I just don't want to put it out of sight. I want more people to get vaccinated, but I want it to be feasible, that we talk one another into it.
I'm in agreement with the 80% because we're already telling you, okay, you're gonna get vaccinated, we're gonna give you $250.
Yes.
If that's not gonna move them, then I don't know really what else is gonna make them get vaccinated. We're already offering you $250 to go get vaccinated. We want you to get vaccinated. This is gonna help the city of Statesboro. I mean, so that's the only reason that I'm going with the 80%, because what else do we need to do to get you to get vaccinated?
Okay, so my motion is that we do the $250 bonus, and if we achieve by November the 15th, 80% of our employees being vaccinated, then instead of a $250 bonus, it's a $500 bonus in their holiday bonus. Is that right?
Yes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, then move down to agenda item 14, public comments. Any public comments?
And the other people who have been vaccinated are all going to,
Approach the podium, state your name.
Gotta know who you are first.
I'm sorry, in Newburgh. So the people who have already been vaccinated will receive those benefits as well, is that correct?
City employees, yeah.
And that's part of the 80%?
Yes.
Any further public comments? All right, thank you. All right, we move down to agenda item 15, consideration of a motion to enter into executive session to discuss personnel matters, real estate, and/or potential litigation in accordance with OCGA 50-14-3B. Is there a motion to enter executive session in regards to real estate and personnel?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.